Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today we are going to be looking at a set of pencils that I bought off of Temu. These are available on Amazon and I will link the Amazon link below the video. They are the QL-C120 artist pencils. They come in this cardboard box with the unicorn on the front. I have taken them out of the box. They do come in those lovely little plastic flimsy trays. There is no other information on the box or in the box other than the fact that they are made in China. Other than that, there's no information. So, it really doesn't give any information about the pencils itself. So I have put them in my pencil case. So we've got our yellows and then our reds to pinks, our pinks to purples, our blues to greens, and then the green blues into the full green colors into the browns, and from our browns, grays, and blacks. A fairly nice set of pencils. They do have numbers on them. They are not named, but I do really like the way they have them dipped. It's kind of like a pearlescent kind of dip on the bottom. Now I have seen another set of these, a set that's like this, that was recently reviewed by another YouTuber. These are not the same. I do have a set of those coming as well, but I don't know how much of the same that they are. So when they come in, I will go through them and review them and verify whether or not they're the same set of pencils. On Amazon, these are less expensive than the Oakley or Uku. That's it. But they look online. They look like the same pencils. So I do have a set of the Uku coming, and they're being sent by a very lovely friend of mine. So I will verify whether or not these are the same, or if they're different, or if they feel different, or if they maybe come from the same factory, that sort of thing. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do our swatch video. So we'll watch the swatching of these lovely pencils. We'll review the swatch. We'll do our testing. And yeah, we'll see where we stand with this set of pencils. All right, guys, so one moment and we will do the swatch. So grab your cup of coffee. It will take just a minute, I think a minute and a half. I've sped it up really quick and added some music. So, of course, sit back, relax, enjoy your cup of coffee, and enjoy the swatch. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. Now, I wish I could swatch that fast. Unfortunately, I cannot. Um, if I could, there would be so much more swatching done in the corner, that's for sure. I would have all my swatch charts done and not have to worry about it. I'm going to turn this light on so that you guys can see a little bit better. As you can see, we've got a lovely set of yellows into our peach tones, into our orange, into our reds, and our deep reds into our pinks, our pink purples into our purples. So these are more of the red violets, and these are more of the violets. Then we go into our light blues, into our medium tone blues, into our dark blues, into our aquatic blues. So these are more blue-green, into our green-blue, and then into our yellow greens, our green greens, and then our dark greens. Then we have our dirty greens here, which are our olive tones, colors like that that have that yellow or brown added to them. And then we go into our browns, into our light browns, our orange browns, our red browns, and into our dark browns. And then, of course, our grays. So we have our lighter grays, our darker grays, and then we have our gray tones, such as this one here, which is a blue gray tone, a green gray tone, and a dark green gray tone. And then we have our black purple. So this is a red black and then our black. And then we have our metallics here, which are silver and gold, and our white. And as you can see, the white is quite translucent, so it is not one that you would definitely use for coloring or adding highlights to something. It would be one that you would use to blend with, as well as to coat the area that you want to remain that white color of your paper. All right, so I'm going to pull some colors here and we'll take a look at the pencil, and then we will also start doing our testing. So we're going to use number 107, 131, and we're also going to test the sharpener on them as well, and I think 159. There it is. All right. So much easier to pull them out of the case and not out of the out of the box. All right, so as you can see, each of these pencils has, let's zoom you in a little. Let's zoomy. So each of these pencils has a gold embedded name. These are not just stamped right on top. They are actually stamped into the pencil itself. So it is indented. So even if that gold gets rubbed off, it still has the indent there, which is really good. All right, so let's give these a sharpen. I'm going to try not to shake the camera all to bits here. I keep on trying not to shake things when I'm sharpening, and it doesn't work out so well for me. Now, as you can see, it definitely sharpens into a nice sharp point. Now, I am using my Deli crank sharpener, and it is the same type of sharpener as the Doll 133. My Doll 133 is full of shavings, but we will try to use it for one of the pencils and verify that it sharpens them just as well. And it definitely does. So the wood on these sharpens very cleanly. There's no tearing of the wood or anything like that, which is great. All right, going to flip you over here and we're going to do a couple of different testing. I don't know what's going on with the camera. That's driving me cray. Let's fix that. For some reason my light is off. I don't know why my lighting is off so much. It seems that I'm way off somewhere. All right. We'll leave it at that. That's a little bit better. I don't know why the lighting is so off. The page is not actually that blue color. That's what's driving me crazy, is the page looks blue. So I'm going to zoom you in so that the sides of the camera are not seeing that brown, and it's still blue. Let's turn it down this way. There we go. That's a little better. At least it's not blue anymore. All right, so we've got our red, yellow, and blue here, and we're going to start with our red. Ooh, that actually covered really good very quickly. I like that. Now we're not getting any scratchy, dry feeling from the pencil, which is good. And I am going to fill in the area just as well as I would if I was coloring. So these are, by the feel of them, an oil-based pencil, and I think that they would work best with the layering. So that's what I'm doing. Just making sure that I get a good amount of layers on that area. Now, with this being a fairly low brand on the totem pole, I do believe that they are, I don't have any high expectations of them being water resistant or smudge resistant. So if they are, I will be quite happy with that, but I don't have any major expectations of them being such. Now, they don't have any light fast ratings, so if you are using colored pencils for your artwork and that you are selling or hanging on the wall, this would not be a set of pencils I would suggest for you. Only because when you hang it on the wall or you are selling it and other people are hanging it on the wall, if there isn't a light fast ability to it, you may have very upset customers saying that, yeah, all the colors faded after a year or two. So, and again, and like I said, there is no listed light fast. I don't worry about that because I don't sell my work, and I don't hang it on the wall in the sun or anything like that. So I will say that there are some of my pages that I have in my book from back 4 or 5 years ago that are starting to fade, even ones done with expensive pencils. So it's not just the fact that it's an inexpensive pencil that's going to do that. If the light fast ratings are not high on the colors that you used, sometimes they will fade. So. All right, so I'm using a water brush pen. There's water in the brush. And I'm going to make sure that I don't have a lot of water coming out because I'm not going to be using huge amounts of water on my page. Now, that's interesting. The ink spread a little bit, but the actual colored pencil did not. Huh. That is really interesting. They have a high percentage of wax in the pencil that is keeping it from spreading. So the wax itself, the pencil and pigment itself, did not move with water, which is very, very surprising to me. I'm actually shocked. Usually with the lower branded pencils, they will have a lot less of the wax in it, which protects the pigment from running. But this seems to have a higher quality of wax in it that is allowing it to withstand that water. I'm still a little shocked. Now, what the reason why I do a water test is because I do use a lot of things that have a water base to them on my colorings, such as stickles, liquid pearls, watercolor for the backgrounds, ink, things like that, that have that water base to them. And I don't want that water, I don't want that color being moved with that water-based item. So, and I'm not doing these in order, so I'm just putting down the color. We're going to do the smudge test. And the smudge test, much like the watercolor test, the water testing, whether or not they're resistant to the water, is more for my benefit to know what I can use with this set of pencils and what I shouldn't use with them. Now, the smudge test is because I have a tendency when I'm coloring to put my hand on the page. And I have found with a lot of pencils that my skin will move the pencils. I apologize for my phone going off. I do have it on so that I can hear if work messages me. So if you hear a lot of dinging, I apologize. All right, so we're going to do the yellow. And I do the primary colors because I have them out for the rainbow test anyway. And they are a good ability to see what the movement is going to be like. Yellow has less pigment in it than red. Red is the most pigmented, and blue has a good level of pigment in it as well. I didn't get a huge amount of dusting, but I still want to dust that off, make sure that there's no loose ends there that my fingers are going to pick up. And we're going to just take my finger and we're just going to rub. Now see there it moved. So my hands are definitely going to move these pigments. So be very careful. I have to be very careful rubbing my hand over top of them. Now, if you don't have an issue with rubbing pigments around and making a mess, don't worry about it. The reason why I do this test is for my own benefit to know what my body is going to do with the pencils. And now that we've left this to sit for a little bit, the pigment has moved a little tiny bit with the water, and the water has soaked into it a little bit. So it does shift with the water after the water has been sitting on it for a fairly long period of time. And, soaked in. That's the word I'm looking for. All right, now we're going to do the gradient test. So we're going to take this one, and I think this one. We're going to do this in the pinks because I like pink. And what this test does is it shows me whether or not these pencils will blend together in a gradient manner. So if I can go from dark to light and not see a huge line or a heavy line between the pencils. And it just looks like a sphere that has a light source on it, a pink sphere with a light source. So I'm just putting down the darkest color and I'm putting down a light layer and I'm building that color up, especially around the edge to be darker. I'm leaving a good amount of the lighter layer for the next color to blend into. over so I can actually see what I'm doing. All right, so the next color is going to be our medium tone. And again, we're going to just blend this in to the edge of the darker color. And I do get a feeling that these are a type of this is a type of pencil that does need to be built up. I don't think that mashing them into the other color is going to make them blend any better or any worse. So I'm going to build this part of the color up, and then I'm going to come back with the darker one and just finish off that darker section. And then we'll come in with the lighter color there. All right, so we're going to come back with the dark one, and we're going to come off of that heavy dark area into the lighter dark area, and we're just going to feather that in, blending that together. And of course you can see the divots and the tooth of the paper, so of course with seeing that, you know that you can still add plenty of color on top of that. All right. And then our medium color, one more time. And they seem to be blending together quite nicely. I'm not getting any resistance to the blend. Like sometimes with different pencils, when you're going over the other pencil, you get kind of this jerky feeling instead of a glide. And these glide quite nicely. All right, then we're going to take our lightest color here. And we're going to blend all that together. We need to come back through with our medium tone and blend that into the light just to soften up that edge. And I'm using a fairly light hand because I don't want to smush. I want to layer those colors together. All right. And then one more time with the lightest color. Definitely does a gradient and gives us that light, medium, and dark areas. So I think that it does a 3-color blend quite well. Now we're going to do a rainbow blend. And what a rainbow blend is taking your primary colors, your yellow, red, and blue, and creating other colors with that. So we're going to create orange and green. And we're going to start off with our red. Now, starting off with the red, when I come into it with the yellow, I'm going to get a red orange, and then when I come back over it with the red going into the yellow, I'll get that yellow orange. So depending upon which one you put down first will depend upon the darkness of the blend. So like I said, if you've got red down first, you're going to have a darker blend than if you put down the yellow first. All right, so now we're going in with the yellow, and I'm going to start back here because I want to put down the blend space for the green before I go into the red, because any pencil will pick up the pigment of the other pencil. If you go into it with a lighter pencil, it'll just pick that up off of the paper. So, and as you can see, we've got a red orange there. And I'm going to come into this area here, and then I'm going to come back through with the red and do a yellow orange. Sweep that off. So we're going to come off of the red orange into the yellow. Giving more of that brighter orange color. It's going to go the opposite direction just to get a good blend of those colors together, like so. So it definitely does the yellow to red, creating that orange. Now we're going to fill in this area here because we want our yellow to look yellow. Now, because we have the yellow down first, when we come into that with the blue, it's going to give us a brighter green, a more yellow green than a dark green. And we'll have to bring the yellow through into the blue to get that dark green. So I'm just getting that blue in place, and then we're going to come into the yellow. Like so. And then we're going to come back through in the opposite direction with the yellow, and then into the blue. And as you can see, we've got a lighter yellow green here. Just trying to make sure I cover up some of that yellow. And then a darker green with the yellow over the blue. So it definitely does the combination of yellow to blue, creating that green. So far, I'm actually quite impressed with them. All right, so we're going to do the blender test. Now with the blender test, what this is testing is whether or not the Caran d'Ache blender or the Derwent blender will blend these pencils together, or if they need to be blended together in another way. The reason why I do the blender test is because sometimes you want to use a colorless blender because you don't want to add more color or take color away from the area that you've used. Using a white blend, even if it's translucent, will dampen those colors just slightly, where with the Caran d'Ache blender it may brighten them. So the bright stick that I use with the Caran d'Ache blenders is one that will brighten the colors a little bit, giving it a little bit more life, blending it into those white spot areas. All right, so there's our dark pink. And I'm putting down a lot of pigment here. If you don't have a good amount of pigment on your page, a good amount of pencil on your page, you will find that the Caran d'Ache blender will pick up your pigment and move it in a not so nice way. Now that is the same with any other blender as well. It's not just the Caran d'Ache blender. If you don't have enough of the pigment on the page for it to move, it's just going to pick it up and peel it off the page. The one thing with some of the blenders I have found, like the Prisma blender, for example, the blender itself is very, very hard, and I do find that it scratches off the pigment, which is not what we want to do. All right. Now you will see a few other videos out today. So if I seem to be spamming a lot of videos today, I apologize. I don't mean to be spamming them, but I do need to get them done when I have the time to do them. And unfortunately, I haven't had the time to do them till today. So when using your blender, I'm going to use the Caran d'Ache and the Derwent. So I'm going to use the Derwent on the bottom. Start at your lightest color first and move it into that darker color. And as you can see, it does take that pigment, move it around, and fill in that white spot, which is what we want to see. Now, the Derwent blender does not brighten as much as, say, the Caran d'Ache blender does. So we're going to take the Caran d'Ache blender on the top, and we're going to move that over into the dark colors. And then we're just going to lightly go over it again and fill it in. So definitely works well with the blenders. As you can see, this is a little bit brighter than this down here. And there is not a huge amount of the line showing. It definitely looks like it blended it together. Even down here on the Derwent side of it. Now, what I was saying about it lifting it off, as you can see there, it does have a little bit of the pink on there that it lifted off. And same with here on the Caran d'Ache, where it lifted it off just a little bit. And what that does is it lifts it off to move it into the white spot that's showing. All right, so definitely works well with the blender. I'm going to grab the white pencil, and we're going to blend with the white pencil as well. So we're going to take our pinks again, and we're going to put down lots of pigment. Now with a white pencil, even if the white is somewhat translucent, you will find that it will muddy up the colors a little bit. So it will add that white layer over top. So if you're happy with the colors that you have and you don't want to lessen them, make sure that you don't use your white to blend. If you are going to use your white to blend and you don't want to lessen your colors, put an extra layer and make the colors that you're blending darker than you want them to be, so that when you do blend those together with the white, you can handle it being slightly lighter than if you didn't darken the colors. Now, if you want the colors to be a little bit lighter or to give that little bit of a white glaze over what you're doing, The white pencil works great for that, whether it's translucent or opaque. Sometimes using it for highlights and that sort of thing, you want a very opaque blend or an opaque white pencil. This pencil is definitely not opaque enough for that. So you would want to use something like a Prismacolor, a China White, something, like that, that has that opacity. So starting in our lightest and working our way into the dark. Definitely does blend. The great thing about blending with the white pencil, especially if it's extremely translucent, is blending with wax of the same set does blend a little bit better than blending with a blender that is from a different brand. So even though the Caran d'Ache blender works very well, and same with the Derwent, sometimes blending with the white pencil or a blender created for that brand of pencils, that will sometimes work better on the set of pencils you're working with than those other blenders. And the Caran d'Ache blender is my go-to, so I find that I reach for it a lot more than anything else. Now that blended very nicely with the white. It didn't take the colors down a huge amount. If you look at the colors here and the colors here, it seems that the blenders themselves took the color down a little bit more than the white, which tells me that that white is extremely translucent, and we're not going to have any worries about blending with it on our page. Now let's look at our cost per pencil. And of course, I was silly and didn't bring this up. Let's see here. And I was just looking at them the other day and I didn't bring them up. Okay. Now I have to scroll through, and I should have done this beforehand. I apologize, because I had them set aside so I could easily just bring them up, and I forgot to bookmark it, which is silly of me. And like I said, I did purchase these on Temu with all of the other insanity that I purchased on Temu. So you will find that the prices on Temu are much different than the prices on Amazon, of course. Now, I am going to use the Amazon price just so that it gives you a better idea of the the cost per pencil ratio that you would have if you don't buy things on Temu. A lot of people I know don't buy things on Temu, and that's perfectly acceptable. There is nothing wrong with not utilizing the Temu app. I will reiterate the same thing that I reiterated when I purchased everything that I did on Temu is don't download the app. Just don't do it. Stay away from the app. It's a trap. It will suck you in with all these things that they say are going to have this huge discount. And the next thing you know, you're spending money that you didn't want to spend in the first place. So stay away from the app. Otherwise, you end up like me with a shopping list six miles long, and you're sitting there going, "What did I do?" And now I can't find them on Amazon, of course. So they may be sold out on Amazon. Let's take this part off. Or they may not be listed under um, the same they may not be listed by the manufacturer's name. That's the word I'm looking for. So I just took off the manufacturer's name and I'm looking for the unicorn box and I know it's here. So the UCOS or the UKU 120 set is what I do believe that these are identical to. Um, are an oil-based colored pencil, and they run about $22 for the set. And that's about what I spent on AliExpress, was about $20. So I don't think I would have bought them for much more than that. And I'm just seeing if I can find them. And of course, I'm taking up time, and that's no good. So I may just go to AliExpress and look at, or not AliExpress, Temu, and look at my order, and we'll work from that number. And I will go through and see if I can find this set um, to pin it for you, because I do know it is available on Amazon. I have seen it on Amazon before, and even more recently I've seen it on Amazon. So I do know they are available on Amazon. I'm just not seeing them at the moment. And I do believe that they are very close to, if not exactly the same as the Ooku, OOKU colored pencils. They do look very, very much the same. And like I said, I have a set coming from a friend of mine. So when they get here, I will definitely test them against each other and verify whether they're the same pencil or not. Because suddenly I can't find these ones on Amazon, which is always the way. When you're looking for something specific, you're not going to be able to find it. So I will go to Temu and we'll work off of that pricing. And then I will find that on Amazon afterwards. So on Temu, so on Temu this set was a $22.74. So about the same price as $22.74 equals, and so about the same price as the Ooku, OOKU pencils on Amazon. So let's do a price per pencil. So $22.74 divided by 120 equals 18, almost 19 cents a pencil. So for 19 cents a pencil, I think they did pretty well. So I'm going to give them a 5-star on that. That's a really good price per pencil. I do believe that they passed the water resistance test. I don't think that I don't want them, or I can't expect them to be completely waterproof, but I do believe that they passed the water resistance test. I was able to smudge them with my own hand, so I'm going to give them a fail on the smudge, and I'm going to give them a pass on all of the blending tests, because they did blend very well together to create orange and green. as well as to create a 3-color blend without with blending those lines together to give a gradients. And it worked with both the blenders, the Caran d'Ache as well as the Derwent, and it worked very well with the white. So I think that all of those tests, the only one that it really failed was the smudge test, and that's a personal test. That is not actually something that go against the pencils, because some pencils, even high quality ones that don't smudge for anybody else, will smudge for me. So that is not something that you should hold against the pencils. It is a test that I would suggest doing for everybody just to verify whether or not you're going to move those pencils. I think it has a very good color selection. I don't think there's a huge amount of areas that are lacking in color. I think that they need to have some more light grays down here, so very light like the silver. I'm not seeing any sort of cloud grays, really, really light grays. So I think that's the only place that they're lacking in a color selection. Everywhere else has a really good amount of color, even in the purples, going from our red violets into our violets. They've got a lot of those colors available. So, and that's one of those areas that some sets have a lack of color. So I think the color selection will give it a 4 because of the gray area for our color selection. Did very well with the color saturation. I was able to get a very good saturation of color with them. Unfortunately, they are not open stock, so of course they're going to fail that. All right, so all in all, so we've got one, two. Okay, so out of 26, we have 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 out of 26. Now, most of the lesser brands are always going to fail this open stock because not very many of the lesser brands are open stock. That does not bother me as much as color saturation, selection, or cost per pencil. The reason being is because I have a lot of different colored pencils, so I'm not worried about running through any of my pencils anytime soon. So with the higher brands that do cost a huge amount per pencil, if the pencils were, say, 50 cents or $2 per pencil, which some of them are, I would be really upset if that was not available open stock. Because these are very inexpensive and only 19 cents a pencil, or even, $22.74, $23 for a set, that open stock doesn't bother me. I can purchase an entire new set to cover the pencils that have dwindled down. All right, so all in all, I think the set has done quite well for a budget-friendly set. Again, they were $22.75, and that's pretty much what the Uku pencils are on Amazon. I know these pencils are available on Amazon. I have seen them recently, so they may be out of stock momentarily and may come back into stock at another time. I will try to find them and take a look at where they are and list that below. If you don't see a link below the video, you will know that I was not able to locate them and was not able to list that. All right, we're going to do a quick little color on this this flower here, just to show how they would blend together in a real coloring situation. All right. So normally I go light to dark. So that's what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go light to dark, or dark to light, I mean. I said that backwards. Normally I go dark to light. So I'm going to go from the darkest areas, which are my shadow areas, with this bright pinky purple. This is such a pretty color. And I'm going to make the lower area, so the areas that I want that shadow to be, of course, I'm going to make darker. And the reason why my swatch charts have these little coloring areas on them is so that when you are swatching out a new set of pencils, sometimes you can't really tell how they blend or how they work just by swatching. And if you don't utilize the test pages, which you don't have to, of course, you can utilize these small pictures to do your test areas. So if you want to make sure that they blend well together or that you're going to get a good coloring experience from them, you can use these little pictures at the bottom of your swatch chart just to give it a good test, a trial and error. Sometimes, especially if you're trying out a new color blend as well, you can just grab your swatch chart and grab some colors and grab the colors and try out that new blend of color. So that is why I put the pictures at the bottom of the page. It's not just because they're pretty. They do have a function, and that function is to give you an area to try out your new pencils. All right. So I'm just getting a little bit in there. Then we're going to take the medium one. So I didn't use the darkest color that I used on the swatch test. I used a darker one that was still in the pack. Now I'm going to come in with that medium color that I used on the test, and I'm going to start blending that together. Now the reason why I used the darker pink instead of the one that I used on the test is because by the time I've done with 3 different colors that I'm going to put on here, that darker color is going to be toned down quite a bit. And I still want it to have that nice pink color. So and I do go over top. I do lap over top of the color to get it to blend. Sometimes I do a tip to tip, so an edge to edge, where I'll bring that edge out nice and soft and then blend into that edge. But most of the time I go right over top of it and blend those colors together, which softens that edge as well as the color that I've put down. Like so. Now I do want some up through here. And through there. All right, so we have a little tiny bit of crumbling going on there. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. And then we're going to take our lightest color and we're just going to blend all of that together. Of course, start in your lightest area first. and then just blend it all down. So in a real coloring situation, they definitely do fill in and blend together. Now we're going to take our yellow and we're going to do this area here, and then we're going to take some greens. Now greens are usually the area that does tend to not blend as well or be a bit scratchy. So we're going to grab some darker green, a medium green, and a light green. Ouch. I just poked myself with a pencil. Now there's not a lot of room on these leaves, so we're going to try to be very careful on how much we actually put down so that we are able to get that blend going. So of course the darker area is the veining of the leaf as well as the shadow. Of the flower over top, the other leaves over top. So where the leaf is curling is going to be darker than where it's hitting the light, of course. And where it's behind. I have a thing about light sources. Sorry, guys. It has been pointed out to me that I do obsess over the light source and the glow. It's just who I am. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. So I'm taking that medium color, coming in and doing the outer veins. So as they're coming out of the leaf from the center, blending into that darker area. And they're blending, they're not scratchy at all. They're not dry. They do seem to be blending really nicely together and gliding not only over top of the other color, but over the paper as well. Sometimes, especially with greens, they have a high pigmentation and they will feel a little dry or a little scratchy on the paper or on top of other colors. These ones are doing quite well. They're not showing as, they're not coming up as scratchy at all, even with the dark pigmentation colors. And those are usually the ones that are the most likely to have that dry, scratchy feeling. Definitely getting a good blend of those colors. And as you could tell, I used a really dark green. And the reason for that was because I know that the light green that I'm going to be putting over top of it is going to change that to a lighter green. and I didn't want it to change it to too light of a green. All right. And as, like I said, you can definitely tell that these colors are blending together, layering on top of each other, and creating that new color, which is definitely what we want to see. So I think even on our test area, I think they did very, very well giving us that amount of color blending and gradients in color. So I'm going to zoom you in. Let's see if I can zoom you in so you can actually see the colors and how well they blended together. There's not a huge amount of stop and start lines there, which is what I look for when I'm doing a blend. I want to make sure that those colors blend together and go from light to medium or dark to medium to light and vice versa, not have a hard stop area between the dark and the medium, between the medium and the light. And these pencils do give me that, which is awesome. All right, so I'm going to zoom you back out, and we're going to pull this back down here where it belongs. Now again, these are the QL-C120 colored pencils. You may have seen them on Amazon. They are in the white cardboard box with the unicorn. I apologize for the lighting and the camera. I don't know why it's so dark today. It just seems to really want to be dark today. I don't know why. It's annoying. I really want it to stop. Um, but I will get that figured out before the next video. There will be a few different videos today, so I apologize if you feel I am spamming the videos today. Unfortunately, I do have to get them all out when I have the ability to do so. And yeah, so this is one of those days that I have the ability to do so. So, of course, always remember to like, comment, and subscribe to any YouTube artist that you enjoy. And of course, always remember to relax, color, and stay safe, everyone. Until next time, bye bye for now.